All right, welcome to the Two Sons Podcast. Happy Saturday, everybody. Hope all of you guys are having a great weekend. Well, I was just complaining at Luke. This is only our second time recording in the last 38 days.
That's pretty bad.
That's pretty bad.
That's
but
that's
in our
not
defense,
impressive.
not a ton going on in the content space.
Correct.
Then also, there's not like any major television release going on because Fallout released all at once for some silly reason. I've been in my busiest time of year. I have this entire weekend off. It's my first time having a weekend off since literally like early April. You've been really busy as well.
Yeah.
Pool fencing, all that kind of stuff.
Building the pool fence. And then our clinic. Dude, our poor clinic. So my home clinic, a few months ago, we had a big water leak. So it was shut down. So I got moved to a different clinic. And then now all of our AC units are broken.
Are you serious?
So like the clinic's shut down again. So
in Tucson, that's a death sentence.
Yes, it is. Yes, you cannot run a business if your AC is down. So I've been at the really busy clinic. So last shift I saw like 48 people.
Oh my gosh, man! So you're getting a little burnt out.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that is that's the one thing with urgent care that I find really interesting is like it's one after the other.
It
and
is nonstop.
Yeah,
it is nonstop.
So we're going to be recording 3 different episodes today. We're going to start with a little bit of Acolyte today. There's a bunch of new information that came out. You sent me a video from Star Wars Explained that was really informative.
Right.
A really nice synopsis of just all the information coming in.
Dude, that's what he does. He's good at what he does.
Yes, you said he's like Hoops Tonight, but for Star Wars. Like he just bombards you with information from as soon as you.
It's true. It totally is.
So anyway, we're gonna do that. We're gonna hit Bad Batch. I finally finished Bad Batch. And then at the end, we're going to do a review of Revan, and all that stuff's going to come out in this week before Acolyte comes out next weekend.
And we're back.
Luke, I'm going to be on his case. He's going to be over here. We're going to get these
Jay,
Acolyte
you do not have to try to get me into the studio. Okay.
So, all right. I want. There's 3 things that I want to kind of hit that I find interesting from the Acolyte, and I'm so excited for this series.
I'm too.
I'm more excited for this than I was for Ahsoka. I'm like incredibly excited for this.
Yeah.
I want to start with this interview piece that Instagram put out, the Star Wars Instagram page put out the other day, and it basically was like just a sit down interview between Dave Filoni and Leslie Headland, who's the director of this new show, The Acolyte, and he basically just goes like, "Tell me about The Acolyte,"
and they reveal so much.
The very first thing off the top, was. I'm fascinated by the Sith, and specifically the dynamic when the apprentice craves the master's power.
Yes.
That is Bane, man. That is Bane talking. She's like, when the apprentice craves the master's power and he has to go find another apprentice, which is quite literally the plot of the 3rd Bane book.
As soon as she started talking about that, I was relieved just because I felt like she had been doing her homework, right? Like you and I talk about what we consider canon that's not actually canon. Yeah. Bane books being probably the pinnacle of that, along with like some like the Plagueis book. The fact that she understands that dynamic makes me so much more comfortable with this series.
There's no beating around the bush either. Like it was like, oh, is this just going to be a dark side user? Like, what are these witches doing? Like all this stuff. And it's like, actually it's like, she's like, this is about the Sith. End of story. Now, what I'm hoping is they have a lot of Jedi characters that they've been focusing on in this in the trailers and stuff. I hope we get to see a lot more of the actual Sith on Sith communication. And the reason why I say that is like in the Bane books and in the Plagueis books, some of the most like fascinating and riveting bits of conversation are just like the Sith master talking to the Sith apprentice, just like talking about the history and like educating them on like all that stuff. Yeah. It's so fascinating. Like all the conversations between Plagueis and Palpatine in the Plagueis book are amazing. Right. I'm watching, Bane and Xana. I'm listening to Bane and Xana talk right now. Like it's
some of the best Star Wars combos ever.
Oh, it's so good. And so when I heard that, I was just like, Leslie, you get it. I'm very, very excited. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Hopefully we're not just completely let down by this, but and we've talked about this in the past. Like Dave is in charge now, right? So all of this I feel like is under, the watchful eye of Dave. And I'm just so hopeful that there's not going to be any BS that slips through the cracks. And I feel like we're out of that phase of Star Wars, and this will be the first true real test, in my opinion.
Totally agree. And there's been some negativity surrounding this situation. We had that one person that commented on our video saying, like, Dave's not affiliated with this show at all. And it's like, well, he kind of is. He's overseeing Lucasfilm.
Well, and that wasn't even like a negative comment. That was just kind of like hey, like Dave's not like the director
for sure, but at the same time, like because I had a mailbag question in the in my Hoops Tonight show that is coming out tomorrow that I already recorded. And one of the questions was just like, the person was just frustrated with Disney Star Wars content. And one of the things I said was like, I'm really excited to see now that Dave is in this new position, whether or not we see just better content in general.
For sure.
And like I saw some negativity too surrounding Ahsoka. Like I had a Twitter reply when I was talking about something about Star Wars, where someone was like, oh yeah, I didn't enjoy Ahsoka season 1. And my thing was like, Ahsoka season 1 was a little slow. Mm-hmm. It dragged on a couple times. There was like a filler episode in there when they were traveling to the planet with the red trees. But like at the same time, like Game of Thrones is one of my favorite shows of all time, and season 1 is a drag. Like it drags on. So like I feel like the Ahsoka TV series is entering into a really new kind of area between like the Mortis gods and Thrawn, and like I'm okay with like the taking the time to do the world building.
I agree. And then it makes the reveal at the end so much more worth it. I 100% agree with you.
And I'm really curious too, because the second piece that I wanted to get to with the Acolyte is you sent me this video from Star Wars Explained, which kind of is just like a precursor to everything for the Acolyte. And there's a lot of interesting stuff in there. But one of the specific things that he talks about is like, it's probably unlikely that at least that Sith apprentice is or like it's unlikely that the Sith Lord is either Tenebrous or Plagueis, just simply because like the girl meets that guy, the smaller Sith, and that's in all likelihood going to be the apprentice, because just like Xana wanted to meet up with.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
Good. Yeah,
so that's theoretically the apprentice, and that would mean that like the actual master would be like towards the end of his life if that apprentice is getting ready. So like I would imagine that like we're still several generations removed, even Sith generations, which are we don't even really know how long they are, you know, because like even
they could be really long or really short, right? Yeah.
Well, what did Plagueis say to Palpatine when he was training him on that snowy mountain? He's like, Master, how long is this gonna take? And he's like, not a day sooner than 10 years. And it's like, okay, well then if it's 10 years, I mean, we're talking Sith.
Yeah, you get your doctorate twice in that. Your doctorate of Sith twice.
Exactly. This is an extensive Sithology that we're going into here. But yeah, was there anything else from that video that like stood out to you specifically?
Well, what's cool is I think if I remember correctly, Leslie said that she's describing it as almost like a thriller.
Oh yeah.
Too. Which from a Star Wars standpoint, like a Star Wars thriller sounds pretty sick.
Oh yeah.
So there's probably going to be some big reveals, you know, probably towards the end that are going to be very interesting, I presume.
Well, that was heavily in the video where do you know the Star Wars Explained guy's name?
No, it's Star Wars. Mr. Star Wars Explained.
Mr. Star Wars Explained.
Yeah.
Of course. Mr. Explained.
Yeah.
He did a very nice job explaining. Like he referenced a quote from the director, which basically said like, whatever you're expecting, throw it out.
Right.
I'm like, love that. Like,
love
I'm
that
totally
too.
down for that. He talked about how like there's tons of twists and turns through the first 4 episodes, because he actually got to see an advanced screening of 4 episodes. Lucky Mr. Explained.
I know.
Like, when are we going to get invited to that?
Probably when we stop talking shit about Disney. Like that'd probably be a great start for us.
I don't want to stop talking shit about Disney.
Yeah, I know. I don't either.
We hold them accountable.
Yeah,
it's our job
exactly.
for our 1,000 followers. But yeah, so I thought I totally blanked on like there might be a twin thing that I thought was fascinating. Yeah. The one thing that would be confusing to me about the twin thing is like we would have to see conversations between the twin and that guy, because that guy that has the Sith is the guy who like uses the Sith code line in there. Like that to me would have to be a conversation between like the darker leaning twin than the lighter leaning twin. So theoretically, we'll actually get to follow both storylines as they go along. And like I'm just in general super, super excited. My thing is like, oh, they hit this in the Star Wars Explained video. Do you remember in the High Republic book when they jump back in time? The High Republic books follow this really weird pathway where we get these 3 books that culminate in the destruction of the Starlight Beacon as it falls into Irem, into the ocean, right? And then it just skips back like 150 years. And in the past, it goes through this like weird, what was it called? Like the something of the hand or the...
Path of the Hand?
Yeah, the path. Yeah, the path of the open hand. That's what it
Path
was.
of the Open Hand.
Which kind of was like it was like a religious cult that was like against the use of the Force, that kind of like developed and turned into the Nile in like a weird twisted transformation that takes place over like 100 years. But in that episode, there's a massive battle on Dalna. And in that battle, the nameless creatures, those like things that suck the force out of you, the nameless creatures like kill a bunch of Jedi. And like there's this moment at the end where like Yoda has a conversation with I can't remember who it was. It was one of the big shots at that time. And Yoda and the dude basically just go like, "Hey, let's keep this on the DL."
Yoda, you know, come on, dude. What are we doing?
No, but like for the
because they didn't want to freak anybody out.
They didn't want to freak anybody out, and it's not like so. Like I kind of understood and respected that. Although when the nameless creatures pop back up, 150
everyone's
years
like,
later,
"Oh my gosh,
like,
what are
shit,
these
what
things?"
Are we doing?
And Yoda's just like, "Ooh, what should I tell him?"
I'm not sure. I'm actually excited to see if they get deeper into that in the next Nile book. That one dark Jedi or Sith I think it's just a dark Jedi who's like, I want to kill the nameless too. Like shout out to Mark Thompson, does a good job on the voice there. But I'm really curious to see if they go a similar route there, because the Star Wars Explained guy basically said that he's like this could end in just literally the Jedi like burying it and being like, we didn't find any Sith, you know, like
no, I feel like that's probably what happens, or they all get killed, which we see that happen in the Bane book,
and throughout the Bane books too. There's this concept where anybody who has like seen Darth Bane like ends up telling the Jedi like, yeah, you guys wish that the Sith are extinct. You want them to be extinct.
Right.
Like Johan Othon has got this idea. The kid who becomes the healer loses his hand gets that idea too, where it's like he's basically just like the Jedi are so predisposed to wanting the Sith to be extinct that they're kind of oblivious.
They won't
of
ever
what's
believe
happening.
it, right? Unless it's right in front of their eyes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm very, very excited. That's Luke and I will have an instant reaction within 24 hours of the first episode's releasing. We'll make something happen, and then we'll just kind of hit that episode by episode throughout the rest of the series. That's all we have for this particular episode. Did you have one other thing? Go ahead.
Jedi whips.
Oh, the Jedi whip.
Or not the Jedi whip, the light whip.
Yeah, so that was that's the Vernestra chick, right?
And apparently, from what I understand, is she can have a regular lightsaber that she can turn into a whip.
She can flip a switch.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
So
which isn't completely out of question, because Ezra Bridger has his lightsaber that also he could shoot stuff out
that also is a blaster.
Yeah.
And we've seen a lightsaber whip before in the Bane books with Githany, and like
Githany.
her ability to like whip that thing around, and specifically there's a conversation that Bane has with one of my favorite characters, which is the who's the Blade Master.
Oh my gosh, what's his name?
I'm blanking on it,
gosh.
but like, there's a Blade Master for the Sith, and like he's basically renowned as the best lightsaber duelsman in the entire galaxy. But it's killing me that I can't remember his name. Anyway, that the Blade Master basically tells Bane like the whole point of the whip is like it doesn't actually give you any sort of tactical advantage, except for that as soon as you pull it out, like the person you're fighting goes like,
oh, I've never seen this
before, and it's like confusing and like, but yeah, like Githany fucks some people up with that whip. Like she slashes like the Zabrak's throat. Like, it's pretty gnarly.
I feel like Leslie definitely did a read of the Bane.
Oh, for sure. Leslie's
which
clearly
is awesome.
a Sith head, which like, good for you, Leslie.
It's good to be a Sith head.
Yeah.
I'm pro Jedi, don't get me wrong. Like, I kind of love the Sith.
Yeah, it's Jason that thinks the Sith were right.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that's all we have for today. We'll be back very shortly with an episode going over the end of Bad Batch. We will see you guys then.
Thanks a lot.